Okay. It's your boy. Y'all know, listen, y'all know who this is. Y'all know who this is. It's my 400. And if you're new, listen, like, comment, subscribe. You already know what the schmill the deal is. And if you've always shown nothing but love and support, well, listen, we greatly appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? Let's get right to this video. Fellas, come on, fellas. Listen, I'm well aware that a lot of us, right? Maybe not all of us, which I would wish this was the case, but a lot of us have goals. A lot of us have dreams. A lot of us are ambitious, driven, have a good sense of determination. Now, in order for us to be able to capitalize on these opportunities, right? And these opportunities to be able to attain the achievement and goals that we want in life, right? We got to remain focused. It sounds very simple. I know. It sounds very simple. Hey, just stay focused. You know, you hear that all the time. You hear from the bus driver that, you know, that's picking you up for school. You hear that from your own school teachers. You hear that from your parents. You even hear it from, like, if you're in a workspace, your colleagues. You hear that from your friends. You hear it from everybody. So the saying of just, hey, all you got to do is just stay focused. It's to some degree, it's pretty cliche, but at the same time too, it holds a lot of weight. Holds an an abundance amount of weight. Focus is absolutely necessary when it comes to overall success. If you are not focused, let's say you have two pathways, right? And I'm just gonna keep it very simple, right? You have two pathways, and as far as just utilizing your mind, you know, one pathway is a little bit more ideal. It requires work ethic. It requires consistency. It requires discipline. But this other pathway, from the visual sense, it's more appealing. This is where, you know, the parties are at. This is where, you know, the drinking and smoking. This is where, you know, just a lot of things that could just distract us and deter us from getting to where we want to get to in life. Now, there are those that stay focused and stay the narrow course, right? There are those that decide to get distracted, and they have a tendency to lose themselves. There are those that go and get distracted, figure out very quickly this is something that they don't want to be involved in, and then they decide to pursue the narrow path. My suggestion to you is follow the narrow path. Hey, bless, follow the narrow path. It's not something that's easy. Truthfully, I was one of those that, growing up, I definitely was following the narrow path. But just being sheltered my life, once I got a bit of independence, I wanted to venture out and experience a lot of things. You know what I mean? And just to know what was I being, like, sheltered from. You know what I mean? Curiosity does kill the cat, right? So as I'm figuring this out, I start to really sit back and realize, but, like, okay, I'm going out every weekend. I'm drinking. I'm going to these parties. I'm interacting with a bunch of people. I'm doing all this stuff, and I realized, like, this doesn't really contribute to my goals, right? And I was a student athlete, so I started to notice in ways I was slipping within my grades, right? Not like I wasn't a terrible student by all means, but there were times where a specific class I would slip because I just wasn't focused, you know what I mean? Or I just procrastinate, that sort of deal. And then even with athletics, I noticed that I was sluggish. I noticed that I didn't want to put as much effort towards certain reps, or I didn't really look forward to it. I just wanted to relax. But I quickly realized, like, if I continue on this specific pathway, right? If I continue on the specific pathway of allowing the distractions to deter me from my goals, I shouldn't, by the end of whatever it is, the academic year and the season, I shouldn't have any expectations of me attaining any of those goals that I drawn out with months prior. You feel what I'm saying? So guys, please, I highly encourage and urge you guys to stay focused. Focus it sounds, like I said, it sounds very simple. Now, I'm not telling you to exclude everything out, right? I'm not telling you to exclude everything out, but make time for things that really do truthfully matter. Listen, if you have a workout, attend that workout. If you have a strict, like, diet regimen, try to remain firm to it. Notice I said try. Try to remain firm to it. You could only be consistent, right, if you have the discipline. That's the only way that could happen. You know what I mean? And within staying in that, you remain focused. You start to see, you notice, like, okay, for myself, I noticed there's been much more clarity. What do I mean by that? I see and perceive a lot of things differently. You know what I'm saying? And that, like I said, this all takes focus. I understand what my objective is. When I wake up in the morning, I understand what my objective is. How can I accomplish that? How can I take a step forward? How can I be better than the mark that was yesterday? You know what I mean? So there's always this constant drive of 100%. Those 100% add up. There's what, 30 days in a month? Those 100% per day, they compound, guys. They compound. So then, a month, you're better. 3 months, you're great. Probably with the next 6 months, you're excellent. You know what I mean? There's this gradual transition and this evolution of a better being. You know what I mean? So guys, I do continue to urge you to stay focused. Focus is something that I noticed that in this modern time they have lost. I've noticed people are more focused about situations that don't necessarily need much attention. A lot of negativity gets dispersed out there in the media and people just tend to gravitate towards it. Like that's where their focus goes to. Anything that is bad or slightly just different than what's the norm, people are just... But it's like, but you have your task right here. You know what I mean? And then they wonder why certain goals are taking longer than they should. They wonder why there's a little bit of delay. Your focus is not there. Everything is just about alignment. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm being dramatic with these gestures. Hey, shout out to Coach Ryan for this one. But like everything is about alignment. Think about this as a beam, right? How close could we get to this beam to just be aligned, right? Guys, stay focused. Stay focused. Continue to stay driven. Always be hungry. Always be hungry. It's your boy.